Hi, my name's Rachel from Sew Around the Bend, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make half square triangles 3 different ways. We're going to try doing them 2 at a time, 4 at a time, and my favourite way, which is 8 at a time. So let's go and see what we need to do this. So this method is to make 2 half square triangles at a time. So I'm starting out with 2 pieces of fabric. It doesn't matter what size these are, this is just for demonstration, but these are 5-inch squares. I'm going to place them together, right sides together, and line them up. And then I shall take a ruler and I'm going to draw a line corner to corner with a heat erasable pen. This is a friction pen, and it just irons away, so you won't actually see these lines once we've finished. So I've now drawn the line, and I'm going to sew 1/4 inch either side of this line, and when we've done that we're going to actually cut along this red line and press the seams open. Now with a small square like this you don't have to pin it, but I have just put 2 pins either side so that it just holds it together. I'm going to start sewing 1/4 inch away from that red line. I'm going to go all the way to the end. I'm going to sew off the end, raise the presser foot, and without cutting the threads I'm going to come back down the other side. Cut my threads, and there we have it. We've sewn down 1/4 inch either side of that red line. I can now take my pins out, and then we shall go to the cutting table. Now all we need to do is cut along this red line. You can either use scissors, or I prefer to use a rotary cutter. So line your ruler along the red line and just cut. Now you have 2 half square triangles, and if we open these out you can see that they're perfect. So now we're going to go and iron them. Before I press my seams I like to just give this a quick press while it's still folded, and then what I do is I roll the fabric back so that the lighter fabric is being pressed to the darker side. So in this case my spotty fabric is being pushed towards the flowery fabric, and then just give that a press and then set it with my clapper, and I'm going to repeat that for the other square. So just set your seam, roll it back, and press with the clapper. Now we started with these squares being 5 inches each, but when we've sewn them together in this way we actually end up with a square that finishes 4 5/8. So we need to trim this back to a reasonable size, so I like to cut it back to 4 1/2. As you can see here on my ruler I've got some tape running along here. I've got several layers of this tape, so when I'm using it on my half square triangle I can butt it up to that ridge in the fabric where I press to the other side, and that helps me to keep it straight along the diagonal line. So I'm going to cut this to 4 1/2. And then turn it round. Oh, hang on, let me sort this out. That's it, just a bit angly challenge there, so just going to cut this to 4 1/2 on the other side. And there we have it. We have our half square triangle cut to 4 1/2. I won't show you how to do the other one because it's pretty self-explanatory now. You see me do one, but that's how to make half square triangles 2 at a time. Now we're going to make half square triangles 4 at a time. This time we don't need to draw a line. We're going to take our 2 pieces of fabric right sides together as we did before, lay them on top of each other. Now this time it is useful to have some pins in this one, and we're going to be stitching around all 4 sides, so when you're placing your pins, try and leave that area free. So I just sort of pin in a square in the middle, just to keep the layers together. Okay, let's take this to the sewing machine. Okay, now we're going to sew around the outside edge, 1/4 inch like we did before. Having taken out the pins, now we're going to cut our fabric on the diagonal, so not where we've sewn, but diagonally across. Again, it's best to use a rotary cutter with this, and then we're going to do the same the other way. And it helps if you've got a rotating cutting mat. I've just forgotten to get mine out, so need to keep those straight. And then we're going to iron these in the same way. So we will press these to the dark side. So this fabric will be pressed to this side. So again, we're going to set our seam, and then we're going to open this out and roll this back. It's always good to have the darker fabric on top, and then you know which way you're rolling out each time. So then we have our half square triangle perfectly pressed. When we started, these squares were 9 inches and they've come out to be around 6 1/8. But I'm actually going to take mine down to 5 3/4 because that's the size I need for my project that I'm using these for. So just like before, align your buffer of tape against the mark in your fabric, and then cut the 2 sides at the same time. And then do exactly the same. So we're going to take it to 5 3/4. It's worth taking the time to line this up properly when you're doing it, and don't rush this stage, because it's how you cut these as to whether they lie straight and they mesh together properly. So there we have our 5 3/4 square. Now we're going to use my favourite method, which is the 8 at a time method. So we're going to go again with how we've been doing it before, with putting our right sides together. And I'm starting this time with a 12-inch square. And this time we want to draw lines in all directions. So we want lines diagonally, like a cross, or like an X, I should say. And then also we want to do a plus sign in the middle. Make sure you're lining up your centre point. In this case, this fabric is 12 inches, this ruler is 6. So if I line this against the edge of the fabric on this side and in the middle here, it should meet perfectly. And then across the middle. Now don't get confused here. All we're going to be doing is we're going to be sewing 1/4 inch either side of the diagonal lines, not the straight lines. So go ahead and put a few pins in here to hold it in place, and we'll go to the sewing machine and sew this. So sew 1/4 inch either side of your diagonal lines. I leave my needle down and lift my presser foot up, pull the fabric slightly so that I can come down here without having to cut my threads, and I find that saves time. And we're going to do the other diagonal in exactly the same way. Last side. Cut our threads. Now we'll go over to the cutting table to cut these apart. Now, having taken the pins out, you can see that I've stitched either side of the diagonal lines. It's probably easier to see on this side. It's not quite so light. And now we're going to just cut along every single red line that we see. Again, use the rotary cutter and ruler, but you can use scissors for this. I like using the rotary cutter because it's quicker and I get a more even seam. So cut along each of the red lines, and then we'll be able to press our triangles open. I'm just going to do these two to show you. So we'll take these to the ironing board. Remember to have your darker fabric on top, set your seam, and then roll your fabric back. And this will give you a really neat finish. And set it with your clapper. When we start with two 12-inch squares, we get 8 half square triangles that measure 5 5/8. So I'm going to cut this one back to 5 1/2. There's not much room for error on this particular square, so you'll find that the bit that you're cutting off is very small. I mean, you can see how tiny that piece is. And I have used my rotating cutting mat for this one, although it sometimes doesn't turn very easily. So taking this to 5.5. And then I just need to do that for all the other pieces. And here we go. To make your half square triangles a certain size, you can use Google to look for half square triangle cheat sheets, and these will tell you which method you're using, what your starting square needs to be, what it finishes at, and then what you can cut it to. I find this really helpful because I can't do the maths myself. So whether you're making 2 at a time, 4 at a time, or 8 at a time, I hope this video has shown you just how easy it is to make half square triangles. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to get back to you quickly. Take care, till next time. Bye.